We have a question from IJmuiden in Holland. An environmental question. Mankind is exhausting the earth, and Dan Quayle's alarm raised consciousness, but also created armies of believers and non-believers. Copenhagen showed that the world is not prepared to do the utmost against global warming. So what is your expectation of the near future?
I suppose I mean Al Gore instead of Dan Quayle, I guess.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's another vice president.
Al Gore, of course. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've got absolutely no clue. I mean, it doesn't seem like we're running a good way. If you consider the present situation, I mean, we're running fast away from the stability sort of we have now. But then on the other hand, nature is never a stable system, and it changes all the time. And it has been warmer on Earth and has been more greenhouse gases in the atmosphere before than we are raising now. So the point is that we're changing the system very fast, and that a lot of species are not going to be able to follow the changes and are going to get into a lot of trouble. And the polar bear is the main example. I mean, there's predictions that the polar bear is not going to last for 2 generations anymore. So because of the melting of the ice in the Arctic and the difficulties it has in hunting. So if it doesn't manage to adapt, and it probably won't, because there's somebody else around, the grizzly bear, that actually is doing what he could be doing if the ice would be melting. So that these 2 species will probably merge in one. That's what scientists expect, because they're already crossing, interbreeding. And so some things will get lost, but then the issue is it's always, I mean, we have been changing the climate now because of our greenhouse gases. So some people say that, okay, if we manage to do this on a short scale, we could reverse the whole system as well on the same kind of scale, and that's probably not necessarily true. It's not necessarily possible to raise conscious on a global scale that you can actually reduce again the emissions of greenhouse gases in a way that you would actually turn back what's happening now. So I'm not very optimistic as far as that is concerned. I mean, I think it's going to be very difficult to change human behavior on a global scale, doing things against what they consider as something improving their comfort for the sake of a global ecosystem.
And considering that it's Christmas Eve, what do you see as a positive development in this respect?
Well, we saw some positive aspects so far. We've seen the whales recovering from almost being hunted into extinction. So and I think they're fabulous animals. I mean, they're probably reaching a level of intelligence and consciousness even closer to ours than maybe even the apes. So, but then in an environment that we don't know, so underwater, so it's totally different from us. But still, we managed to almost hunt them into extinction. And luckily, there have been some people on the way that thought we have to do something, otherwise these animals are going to disappear, and that would be a disaster and a shame as well. And I agree with that. And the fact that that is possible, I think, is a positive message. Yeah. We can do it if we really want to do it. And we have to convince the people that whale hunting is absolutely no longer necessary, because there's lots of alternatives for food, even in Japan. I mean, there's no single argument left anymore for going hunting whales. So let's give.
Do you think this developments will be initiated by the consumer or by the scientists?
Well, science has to give the information, but if you really have an attack on a species on a global level, science is not going to solve the problem only. So you have to give the information, and then it's the global community that has to take the measures to. This is what has to happen with greenhouse effect as well, or with overfishing. Everybody knows that there's been overfishing all over the world. Just every year, again, in the European Commission, scientists put down papers asking for no fishing anymore on certain species, and every year, again, the politicians don't follow their advice, but leave some quota to be fished. So that it's always this economic play of lobbies, science, politics, having this sort of small ecosystem on themselves, but making decisions on life and death on the species level.
So we should, as consumers, we should take action.
If consumers don't eat fish anymore, or don't eat certain fish anymore, then you solve the problem.
No. In the Western world, mainly.
The developing world is another. It's part of the same problem, but of course you can't expect these people to doing things against their own interests if there's no alternatives provided. So the struggle against poverty is crucial to survive in the species.
Well, you said something about the world is not prepared to do the utmost against global warming. That you just said.
Well, they don't seem to be at the moment.
No.
But I'm full of optimism, personally. I always look back to the way in the West we approached the ozone. And I remember, I think it was in the 90s, our politicians were telling us that we've got to reduce our sprays and everything. And I think somehow there was something in the way that the scientists presented the problem, that it was a fairly simple problem, and everybody said, right, we're going to stop. And it was the consumers who did it. It was consumer driven. And I feel that the scientists have actually got a lot to blame in this climate change, because it's very difficult to explain, and it's probably not been explained very well. And if it's difficult to explain, then people just, we won't worry about it today.
I have a Twitter question, sorry to interrupt. The last TV episodes were very dramatic. We already talked about this actually. Did the crew find positive developments? Well, we talked about that. But maybe we can make it broader. Should we, as a television program, now focus more on the optimistic side? Because we had the last 3 episodes maybe about the fishes, about the Yagans who disappeared, the Yagan Indians. Maybe we should do something more positive. Do you think that? Or should we just keep to the...
I think we should focus on what we see.
Yes.
And sometimes that will be optimistic, and sometimes it will not be. I mean, yes, the Yagan story is absolutely